Hi. Today we're going to talk about the moral roots of environmental attitudes. As Americans, our attitudes about the environment are highly polarized, but the reasons are unclear. Researchers Matthew Feinberg and Rob Willer have believed being liberal or conservative influences your views toward the environment. Essentially, 5 studies were conducted to prove this. Study 1A. Study 1A and 1B demonstrated that liberals, but not conservatives, view the environment in moral terms, which partially explains the relation between political ideology and environmental attitudes. Study 1A involved 187 participants reading 3 scenarios. One scenario was after a person finished eating his lunch, he chose to recycle his plastic water bottle. In the second one, the person threw the bottle away as garbage, and in the third one, it was just a control condition. Then they were told to rate on how moral they perceived each scenario to be. The results revealed that more liberal participants in the not recycle scenario rated the scenario as significantly less moral than the conservatives. So right here, once again, the liberals saw recycling as morally correct, and throwing away in the garbage or trash is less moral. And basically, this chart right here also reiterates that fact and says that the liberals see not recycle condition as less moral, like the morality rating is less than the conservatives. In study 1B, involved 467 undergraduate students indicating how important it was to behave in an environmentally friendly way. The results reveal the same perception of the environment as a moral issue and was a significant mediator of the relationship between liberalism and environmental attitudes. Study 2A demonstrated that Study 2A and 2B demonstrated that environmental attitudes are based largely on moral concerns related to harm and care, which are the most deeply held by liberals more deeply held by liberals than by conservatives. Study 2A involved participants watching YouTube videos that had a persuasive message intended to influence viewers' environmental attitudes. The study was to indicate the extent to which each video was grounded in the 5 moral foundations. So right here we have 4 people watching the YouTube videos, and obviously it presented itself as harm and care, and the other 2 as purity, sanctity, and group authority. This is basically a smaller version of the whole study, which stated that almost more than 80% of the videos presented themselves as harm and care, and the remaining 20% were the other 4 foundations. Comparisons between the harm and care moral domain and the other 4 domains yielded significant differences, which revealed that the content of the videos reflected harm and care moral content more than the other 4 domains, which I just stated. Study 2B involved using 232 newspaper op-eds to see which extent these articles were grounded in the 5 moral domains. And so right here, just like the YouTube videos, the op-ed articles presented themselves as harm and care, while there were certain op-ed articles that presented as purity, sanctity, the in-group authority, loyalty, and all the other 4 domains. So once again, comparisons show that the op-eds contain more moral content related to the harm and care domain than the other 4 foundations. Study 3, the researchers reframed the pre-environmental rhetoric in terms of purity, which is a moral value that resonates among conservatives mostly. Once again here, like expected, there's a higher attitude for conservatives towards purity and sanctity than the other foundations. Right here, the pre-environmental attitude is lower for conservatives for neutral and harm and care, but it's kind of high for purity and sanctity, which kind of shows you, like the other studies, that liberals and conservatives have different views. In conclusion of this whole research, researchers have figured out that the moral perceptions play a huge role in driving the differences between liberal and conservative American views of environmental issues. Thank you. I'm not doing any English today. I'm done with work.
You want to keep talking?
Too much.
All right. So we're going to be talking about the polarizing impact of science, literacy, and numeracy on perceived climate change risk. So to fully understand this, the public's rejection for climate change stems from the lack of comprehension. The public knows too little to understand the evidence or avoid being misled. Technical reasoning aggravates citizens, forcing them to use unreliable cognitive heresies to assess risk. Studies have shown that there is no support for these accounts. The highest ranked scientists, with the knowledge of technical and literacy reasoning, were not concerned at all. Scientists suggest that the public's true concern is not from the lack of comprehension, but however comes from the distinctive conflict of interest. Both groups make use of science to promote common welfare. Two scientific theses are assessed about the public, one being the CCT hypothesis, which in turn tends to form a perception of social risk that coexists with value characteristics of groups with which they identify with. The other, the hypothesis, is the SCT, which promotes the public's lack of knowledge over climate change. Therefore, scientists lack trust in the public, creating a social conflict between the two groups. Tests were examined over a 0 to 10 scale. These tests will, in fact, reveal the public's true opinion upon underestimate the risk factors over climate change. The SCT state that their ordinary members of the public underestimate the seriousness of climate change because of the difficulty of scientific evidence. As a result, citizens need to become more literate for science. Psychologists also examined this, and they explain that the public's views are through two systems, and these two systems are System 1 and System 2. System 1 states it involves rapid, visceral judgments that manifest themselves in various decision-making heresies, and System 2 requires conscious reflection and calculation. So that's briefly what those two systems promote. One would also expect concern with climate change to be positively correlated with numeracy. Numeracy refers to the capability of individuals to comprehend and make use of quantitative information. More numerate people are more disposed to using or enhancing System 2 rather than System 1. In this image, we see that somebody is holding back society from the true knowledge of climate, and scientists are getting frustrated and wondering where the public is. And it's not the public's fault, it's just a lack of education and not lack of knowledge of what's going on to our society. Briefly, we're going to be talking about the isolation of people and why they actually in turn do choose to do these things. Sometimes it's not just from the lack of knowledge, but however it's from consequences affected between their peers. In this image, we have this man over here, and he's trying to influence his fellow peer into not really caring about society and just doing what they want to do to live. But while the Green Party over here is choosing, hey, come over here and support the earth, keep it safe, keep it from overheating. And most likely he's going to go with his peers because he does not want to be outcasted out of that social group. And the disownment, and to secure their group standing, individuals unconsequently seek out and credit information supportive of self-defending values and attitudes from these worldviews. So briefly, that's what this image here is speaking about. And the foundation pretty much of this whole document is saying that for the SCT, their views about the public is that they're just lacking the amount of knowledge. As we can see here, we need to have more people in this education system of learning about science, and we see that this group of people are trying to get initiated in and trying to figure out what's going on with our climate. While the CCT, they say not only do they lack scientific knowledge, but they also lack the habits of minds needed to assimilate it, and are thus constrained to rely on fallible heuristic alternatives, such as just not commonly knowing what's going on in society and kind of just being blinded by what society has to offer. And in order to really bind these two groups together, we need a foundation, and this is what the house here is for, as when you get this knowledge, we'll be able to collaborate, and just like society now, we need to be able to come together in times like these. And this is all for our brief discussion about polarizing. This is it. To briefly add on to what I was saying before, I felt it was that we needed to add in this sort of data on the chart. Scientists found out that uh, heredity and individualism really doesn't truly care and find the climate change significant. You see lower support there, but however, in egalitarian communities, you see nothing but support for um, the climate. And this is kind of just the separation I was talking about before. There are many charts and data and tests that were taken to prove the public's true opinion. And here they are. Just thought I should add that in. Hope you give us an A, Rector. Thank you.